Hi, welcome back to another video. I just want to show you something on Google. Something real quick. I'll cut until I have. Okay, so you're probably wondering like, what is going on? I just want to know, be honest, if anyone knows what website I'm at, just by looking at these pictures. Can you figure it out? Yes, it is the iditarod. And actually, if you look, see my mouse? See it over here? There's 8 days, 15 hours, 15 minutes, and 11 seconds until the iditarod starts. So, it takes a while. So I'm going to show you a video of the iditarod very shortly. It's actually going to be a musher. We're going to learn about the iditarod. If no one knows, I'm sorry. I just can't explain it all. But I know a lot about the iditarod since I'm studying it. That might work. And I'm only 8, so basically yes. So, I will be following the iditarod. Anyway, I want to see the mushers. So yeah, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna head to YouTube, and this is actually a real musher. I'm gonna show you. Dog sled. Not on YouTube. Oh. Okay, so this might take me a while, so I'm just gonna cut, and I'll see you right here. Okay, so we are back. I have a video of it. It's 10 minutes long, so I want to hurry. Anyway. So it is packing a sled for the 1,000-mile iditarod. This is not this year. It is a real musher. I don't know if he's racing this year because there's 8 days until it starts Monday. Usually it starts Saturday, but there's not enough. It starts in Anchorage, and there's sadly not enough snow in Anchorage. They can't start it anywhere. Anyway, I'm going to show you. I don't know who this is, but I'm going to show you how you pack. Anyway, enjoy.
Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at some of the gear we take with us on the iditarod and all our training runs as well, and also how to pack in the sled so it balances the weight and it's easy to get to when you need to on the run, and you know where everything is when you arrive at the checkpoint. So we'll start with the mandatory equipment that you have to have with you on every long-distance dog sled race. One of the most important items is your dog food cooker. This is what we use to melt the snow to boiling water to then feed the dogs. You also have to have with you a sleeping bag. This one I pack it real loose in the bag so it's kind of flexible and bendy, and that way if you have kind of odd-shaped gaps in your sled, you can stuff that sleeping bag down in there. Also, you have to have your snowshoes with you at all times. There's minimum sizes and weights on those guys. Next, you have to have your axe with you at all times. This will help clear any trees out of your way or any sort of catastrophe you might have out there. Mushers have been known to actually kill moose with the axe in a real desperate situation, but most of all, we're just breaking apart the meat for the dogs to eat. And then we have the actual booties that go on the dog's feet. Most races require that you have 2 full sets of booties for each dog in your team. In addition to this equipment, you also have to have at least a day's worth of food for each dog in the team with you. Moving on to the rest of our equipment, which may not be mandatory on the races, but you're going to see almost every musher have with them out there. Always going to have a spare set of runner plastic with you. This is what goes on the bottom of the aluminum runners to keep a smooth surface sliding on the snow. This is my repair kit. With what's in this kit and basically a little creativity and maybe a willow branch, I can fix almost everything on my sled. We got your bowls and ladle for serving the dog's food, and a cooler to mix up all the meat and dog food for them. Next we have our mail wraps, which you want to keep accessible. That way if the winds kick up on a cold run, you can quickly get to them, put them on your dogs without wasting a lot of time. Next we have our little vet bag. This is everything we need to take care of a team at a checkpoint. This is usually buried a little more in the sled since we don't need it as soon as we arrive at a checkpoint. This is going to come out after we get done putting out the straw and feeding the dogs. Over here, we have my gear. This is all my spare equipment and clothing. It really doesn't fill up this whole bag, I promise. But I like having it in a big bag because this usually goes on top of my sled. A lot of this stuff I need to get to on the run. So I want to have it in a big bag that's loose and floppy. That way if I have an odd shape on top of my sled with stuff sticking up, I can kind of twist it, jam it in there, and stuff it into any gaps along the way. And also can pull it out easily right from the top of the sled without ever having to stop. And here we have the dog jackets. Again, these are going to have to be a little more accessible because we do use these on the run and as soon as we get to checkpoints. Over here, we have shoulder coat and wrist wrap. These, I keep them not exactly perfectly accessible, but I usually store them with the dog food cooker. That way, when I get to a checkpoint, the first thing I do is pull that dog food cooker out, pull these out, start up the dog's food, and these are sitting there right ready
Okay,
for me
so
to
we are
go
not
in
going to have time to watch this entire iditarod thing. I'm going to let lunch one or two more minutes. Anyway, but if you enjoyed this, I will do a part 2 of this video.
Slide them up in there, and right on top of that, I'm going to put my sleeping bag, which is stuffed kind of loosely. It slides right up in on top of them. It kind of holds them into place. Then I'm going to slide the zippers back just a touch, so it holds that stuff into place. But yet, I can start stuffing the next stuff in, and as I come back, I'll just keep tightening up the zippers. Next is going to be the dog food cooker. This thing is going to go right up against that sleeping bag on top of those snowshoes. The snowshoes help disperse a little bit of the weight in the front of the sled. It's important to have a little bit of weight in the front, but not too much. Some weight helps you steer. Too much weight puts too much pressure down on the curve of the runner. I want most of my weight between right about here and here. And that's nice because I'm the heaviest item, and I'm going to go more on the center of the runner. Next thing to go in is going to be my cooler. Now inside of the cooler, I can pack a little more stuff here. I'm going to pop this open and stuff in the bowls. And then sometimes I'll throw something like our vet kit. I'm going to need this, but not immediately. It can go right on top of that. Then I'll close it up. Now this is going to go right in the back of the sled. A lot of times, if I'm traveling a long distance or going to stop before I reach the next checkpoint, that cooler is actually going to be full of food. So that makes it one of the heaviest items in my sled. So I'm going to slide it right back there. Now it doesn't quite fit perfectly. It's a little bit narrow. So when I do stuff, I'm going to push it over the side.
Sorry.
Stuff my dog food on the side of it. Even if it's just a 50-mile run, I'm going to have my spare dog food right packed around this cooler in the back of the sled. Now the ladle is kind of a little bit fragile. I have broken these things traveling, and it's kind of an odd shape. So a lot of times, I'm just going to slide it right up on top of here, and it kind of arcs around the sleeping bag, and it gives it a little bit of cushion. So if something does hit it, it kind of squishes into the sleeping bag and won't break it. Now moving to the back of the sled, we take my dog coats and my runner plastic. Also, I'm going to have more of the snacks and emergency food in the back of my sled as well. The emergency food is going to go kind of packed right up in here underneath the seat. Again, I want that weight farther forward. So what's going to hold it into place is my dog coats. Before I put the coats in, the spare runner plastic is going to go on the very bottom. There's actually just the right about a gap between two crossbars to hold that runner plastic down in there. And then the dog coats are going to go right on top of it right there. Again, I'm going to zip these up just a little bit and leave that top open. If I'm going to be camping before I reach the next checkpoint, a lot more of my snacking food and extra dog food and straw can even go back here. Back to the front of the sled, we're going to take our personal gear, our repair kit, and the axe. Now, the axe is going to kind of shift right down alongside the cooler and standing up right here. Makes it quickly accessible, it's out of the way. Really? Yeah, you want to just focus back on me. Alright. The axe is going to slide right in along the side here and stand up. Makes it quickly accessible if you need it. If you get tangled up with a bunch of trees and you have to cut something out of your way, it's right there. Also, if you have to do a mandatory gear check along the iditarod, which they will do periodically, it's nice to have your stuff at least somewhat accessible so you don't waste 10 minutes trying to find your gear to show the officials. Because right here, it's very easy to show them where the axe is. Repair kit. This thing, hopefully you don't need it every single day, every single stop. But if you do need it, it's oftentimes on a run in between checkpoints. So it needs to be somewhat accessible. I don't want to bury it underneath all this stuff, but it doesn't need to be in my way every single day. I found the best place for this thing goes right underneath my seat. It slides right in there. This pouch is actually insulated, so when I thaw my drinks out and get them hot before a run, I stuff them in this insulated pouch, and they just kind of fall right down on top of that repair kit. Not really in the way, takes up a little space, but this pouch is plenty big. Now the personal bag. This thing is great, as it's flexible and floppy, I can stuff it in any little gap. So this really depends on what you're packing for, how far you're going, how much gear you have, are you carrying a snack for the dogs? All that stuff depends on where this goes. In this case, it's really simple. It fills with one big gap in the sled, and you push it down there, and it spreads everything out, keeps everything from shifting in your sled. Now we can zip this guy up. All the remaining items are pieces of equipment that I'm likely to need on the run between checkpoints, so it needs to be extremely accessible without opening up anything in the sled bag. I want to be able to grab it and run. What we have here is the mail wraps for the dogs when it gets real cold out there, the little leg protectors for, again, very cold temperatures, and the booties. We go through these boots in every condition. They have to be accessible. They fall off the dogs. We want to replace them quickly. All of this equipment is going to go on the top pouch of the sled. Usually, I stack them with the booties at the bottom. Oftentimes, I open them up and shove them down there so I can just unzip the bag just a little bit, reach in and pull them out without even having to take that bag out. Next is the mail wraps, because they're the next most commonly used item. Go right behind them. And lastly, the little leggings for the dog's wrist. Go right behind that. Now on top of this, on this end, I typically put my mittens. So when I'm standing out here on the sled, I can reach right in here, put my mittens on without ever stopping. If I do have to stop to replace booties, it's as simple as walking up here, unzipping this, reaching in, pulling out booties, and continuing to the front of the team. Any leftover booties, I can drop in here on the way back, zip it up, and I'm gone. You also want to have plenty of spare replacement parts for your gang lines. So necklines and spare tug lines, I just tie them around my handlebars so you can get to them real quickly and easily. One more handy thing about this sled is it's designed for traveling long distances and carrying the equipment to do that. Once we have everything packed down, you kind of notice how there's kind of a divot right here and the stuff ramps up in the front. But in the front, all we have is an empty cooker, a sleeping bag, some booties, and some mail wraps. There's a lot of bulk, there's hardly any weight up there. If I need to camp before I reach the next checkpoint, I'm going to need to take straw with me. And it really doesn't fit inside the sled bag all that well. But the sled is just the right width. So usually when I get to a checkpoint, I'll cut that bale in half, or if I'm going a short distance, I might take the whole thing and set it right here. I slam it pretty hard, and I usually unzip these just a little bit. This falls down even more. And it sits right in there. These bars kind of pinch it in there, and then I can come to the front and shove it back. And it should sit right about there, held in by these bars. And I have one long line that I use for tying out the lead dogs while camping. And it goes all the way around the bale of straw, right underneath the bed of the sled, and all the way back up. Do a half inch, tighten it down, and it's on there. I can usually load a bale of straw in less than 2 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, we just watched a little of that because it starts in 8 days. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you liked it, subscribe. I really enjoy it, and I will definitely be following it. That's the end. It's not the end. So, what you want to talk about? Oh, I just realized time's out. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you at later. Bye-bye. Time to run with the iditarod.